Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty immense. Imagine trying to play hide and seek, but, the seeker sees absolutely everything, everywhere, all the time.
That's a good way to put it. That futility, that impossibility of hiding, is really at the heart of Psalm 139.
Right. And our mission here is to give you a way into this profound text, specifically verses 1 to 16. Our source material, it really frames this as where the life of the mind and the life of the heart just collide.
Exactly. We're going to unpack how King David, the author, moves from just being, awestruck by God's attributes to outright praise.
And those attributes are key. God's total knowledge, his inescapable presence, and his creative power, his sovereignty.
Yeah, it's quite a journey in just 16 verses. And remember, David wrote this quite a while back, somewhere between 711 and 971 BC in Israel.
And the psalm itself, it's interesting. It doesn't fit neatly into one box, does it? It's got praise, lament, wisdom.
It really crosses genres. But the main thread, the big idea holding it all together, is simple. Nothing is hidden from God.
Okay, let's dive in then. Part 1. The inescapable God knows us. Omniscience. Verses 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And this isn't like high-level abstract knowing.
Not at all. It's incredibly personal. David starts super grounded. He says, "Thou knowest my downsitting and mine uprising." God knows every basic movement.
Sitting down, standing up, the absolute mundane.
And he's acquainted with all my ways. But then it goes deeper. God understands David's thoughts afar off.
Afar off. What does that even mean? Like, distance doesn't matter. Or time.
It suggests both, maybe, that God gets the thought, the intention, perhaps even before David himself is fully aware of it. It's profound.
And verse 4 pushes it even further. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether.
He knows the word before it's spoken. Think about that. The sheer processing power required.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Which is exactly David's reaction in verses 5 and 6, right? He's just floored.
Totally. He says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it." He just can't wrap his head around it.
And this leads to some really striking imagery in verse 5. Thou hast beset me behind and before. Our sources point out that word, beset.
Yeah, that's a fascinating detail. It's often a military term, like an army besieging a city, surrounding it completely.
Okay, so that sounds potentially terrifying, like being trapped.
It could be, and that's the paradox the sources highlight. If you're trying to hide something, being besieged by an all-knowing God is the stuff of nightmares.
But that wasn't David's experience here.
Not for David, the repentant David we know from other Psalms. For him, being beset felt like being safeguarded, fortified, held secure by God's closeness. Not trapped, but protected.
Ah, okay. So the feeling comfort or terror, it hinges entirely on your own heart condition.
Precisely. Are you walking in, repentant faith, admitting you need mercy? Then it's comfort. Are you trying to hide or justify yourself? Then it's haunting.
That makes sense. It's a powerful application point right there, that this deep knowledge can be an anchor against fear if you're open with God.
Absolutely. And once David establishes that God knows everything, the next logical step is realizing you can't get away from this God who knows.
Which takes us straight into part 2. The inescapable God pursues us. Omnipresence. That's verses 7 through 12.
Yeah, the transition is perfect. He asks that great rhetorical question in verse 7. "Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence?"
And the implied answer is?
Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Whether he's just traveling or actively trying to run away, like Jonah, God is there.
To prove it, he goes on this sort of cosmic tour. Verse 8, the extremes. Up to heaven.
God's there, down to Sheol.
Okay, Sheol, let's clarify that. Our source material mentioned it's not quite hell in the later sense.
Right. In Psalms, it generally means the place of the dead, the grave, or even just like extreme danger that threatens life. It reflects a kind of progressive revelation. They knew God was Lord over life and death, even if the specifics of the afterlife weren't fully mapped out yet.
So the absolute lowest point of existence or despair.
Exactly. But he doesn't stop vertically. He goes horizontal too. Verse 9. "If I take the wings of the morning,"
which sounds poetic, like moving as fast as the dawn spreads.
Yeah, across the world. "And dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea," the farthest, most remote place imaginable back then.
Like being lost deep underwater today, maybe. That kind of isolation.
That's a good modern parallel. Total isolation, maybe even life-threatening depths. And the point is, even there,
God is present.
God is present. But it gets even more active. Look at verse 10. It's not just that God is there.
Even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. It becomes active. Leading, holding,
And that word for hold, the Hebrew can imply grabbing hold quite forcefully.
Forcefully, like if someone's really trying to get away.
Possibly. If David is imagining fleeing, God isn't just passively observing. He's actively, maybe even urgently, grabbing hold, leading him back. You're not just seen, you're held.
That adds a whole other layer. It's not just observation, it's intervention.
Right. And this presence isn't blocked by darkness either, verses 11 and 12. What if David tries to hide in the dark?
He says the darkness won't hide him. The night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee.
Which would have been a radical idea then. Many ancient cultures thought gods had limits, That night belonged to other powers, or their own god couldn't see in the dark.
But not this God. For him, darkness is irrelevant for vision.
Exactly. The darkest situation you can imagine, the literal dark, the darkness of despair or tragedy, it's all perfectly visible and manageable to God. That's meant to be deeply comforting.
Okay, so we've gone from intimate knowledge to the ends of the cosmos and back. Where possibly could David go next?
He makes the most incredible zoom in, from the vastness of the universe right into the hidden intimacy of the womb.
Wow. Okay, that's part 3. The inescapable God fashioned us. Sovereignty. Verses 13 to 16.
Yeah, it's a radical shift in scale. He brings God's presence and activity right back to his very beginning. Before he even breathed, God was there, actively creating him.
He uses this beautiful language of craftsmanship. Verse 13 talks about God possessing his reins, covering him in his mother's womb. Verse 15 talks about being curiously wrought.
The imagery is like intricate weaving or careful needlework, precision, detail, care.
Which leads directly to praise in verse 14. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. It's a response to understanding that intricate design.
And notice he focuses on the physical body, too. Verse 15 mentions his substance, his frame, the bones, the structure.
He's linking his physical self directly to God's work.
Yes, he's saying the body isn't secondary or unimportant. It's part of God's masterpiece. This argues against any sort of view that, the material is bad and only the soul matters. God made the whole person.
And that has implications, doesn't it? Our sources connect this directly to the value of life from conception.
Absolutely. If God is intricately weaving us together from the very start, it grounds the idea that life is sacred from its earliest moments. It's divine craftsmanship.
And it also means we should respect that craftsmanship in ourselves and others, not mocking physical appearance.
Definitely. It calls for awe and gratitude for how we are made. But then, verse 16, this is maybe the peak of the whole passage.
Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them.
Just pause on that. Before a single day of his life, before a single part of his body existed, it was all written down, planned, documented.
In God's book. That implies incredible foresight and, sovereignty.
It implies God isn't just reacting. Our sources say he's not a directionless author. There's a plan, a purpose, laid out in advance.
How does knowing that help? Does it make life feel predetermined, less free?
The emphasis in the source material isn't on lack of freedom, but on the comfort it provides. Knowing that an all-wise, all-loving God has already accounted for your days, your very physical being, it's presented as the ultimate antidote to fear of the future.
It makes the future less daunting, maybe, because the details are already held by someone trustworthy.
That seems to be the core idea. It fosters trust and crushes anxiety about the unknown because it's not truly unknown to God.
Okay, let's try and pull these threads together. We have God's intimate knowledge, his constant presence, his sovereign design. What's the big takeaway? What's the cure our sources talk about?
The synthesis seems to be that really meditating on these three truths, omniscience, omnipresence, sovereignty, is the fundamental cure for fear and anxiety.
How so?
Because it grounds your soul. It forces you to look away from your shifting circumstances, your worries, your unknowns, and instead focus on what is utterly permanent and known, God's character and his relationship to you.
So comfort in knowing he knows everything about you.
Comfort that he's with you no matter where you go or what you face.
Even in the dark times.
Right. The darkness is like day to him. And comfort that he has a plan, that your life isn't accidental or meaningless. He fashioned you specifically.
But let's circle back to something we touched on earlier. Omniscience. If God knows everything already, knows every word before I say it, knows the plan, why pray?
The classic question. And it's a good one. Why bother telling God what he already knows?
Yeah, seems redundant.
The sources suggest we misunderstand prayer if we think it's primarily about informing God. He doesn't need the information.
So what is it about then?
It's about relationship, alignment, dependence, voicing our thoughts, our needs, our praise, even our struggles. It's an act of trust. It's aligning our will, our focus with His.
So the act of praying changes us more than it informs God.
That's a huge part of it. It draws us closer, reminds us of our dependence, reinforces our trust. And the sources say God encourages and rewards even private, silent prayer, precisely because nothing is hidden. He hears the heart's cry because He's already there, intimately present.
Okay, that reframes it significantly. It's not about data transfer, it's about connection.
Yep.
So wrapping this up, we've journeyed through this incredible psalm. If we take seriously this idea that every person is known, pursued, and intricately fashioned according to a divine plan written in the book before they even existed,
Yeah.
what does that truth demand of us? How should it change, like immediately, how you view the next person you encounter today, regardless of who they are, what they look like, what their life circumstances are?
That's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? If that's true, then every single person carries an inherent, profound dignity and worth that comes directly from the Creator's hand and plan. It kind of compels you to look past all the external stuff and see that divine imprint.
The powerful thought to carry with us. This has been fascinating. Thanks for unpacking Psalm 139 with us.
It's an amazing text. Always more to see in it.